Hello friends! Today we are going to talk about something that will make the heart of every fan of the FNAF franchise beat. Yes, we're talking about the exciting movie Five Nights at Freddy's. But let's say you've already seen the trailer and you're wondering, how is it all filmed? What's behind the scenes? Well, you're in very luck, because today we're going to dive into the world of filming and find out how these terribly exciting scenes were born. One of the very first decisions that director Tammy made was to use practical effects, namely their use for the animatronics, and it was all done to turn ordinary robots from a game into our nightmares. Imagine that the movie is set in the 2000s, and to create an atmosphere of fear and tension it was necessary to make these robots look alive. And Tammy was sure the computer graphics just couldn't capture that atmosphere, so she turned to the legendary Jim Henson shop. And it was a game-changing decision. Tammy wanted to find out how to make simple animatronic robots into real horrible stalkers for security guard Mike Schmidt and his sister Abby. Once the script was ready, the production team tackled the hardest part, creating animatronic characters that would make us shiver with terror. They worked tirelessly to bring these nightmarish creatures to life. And you know what they used? They combined practical effects with the most advanced computer graphics technology. And it worked. Every detail was thought through to match the iconic design of the game and scare us just as it does. It was meticulous work, but the result simply can't fail to impress. So let's start with the fact that the whole story of the making of the movie seemed like an eternal stay in development hell. But you know we'll get to that story in a moment. The first amazing news that reached us was that the legendary Jim Henson Creature Shop has taken on the task of bringing these animatronics to life. If you've ever watched a single Jim Henson shop movie, you've probably seen the great work of this team. They are like masters at creating practical visual effects. Jason Blum himself, owner of Blumhouse Studios, made the announcement on his Twitter page, and he gave us a little preview of Freddy Fazbear. And let's be honest and admit that they didn't skimp on the budget here. The budget for Five Nights at Freddy's is rumored to be over an impressive $20 million, and a good portion of that went to Jim Henson's Creature Shop. But don't think the animatronics were hastily made. No, each one took a full 15 months to create, and that's not all. They didn't create just one version of each animatronic. No, they made multiple versions of each one. Some were designed for stunt work, others were designed with meticulous detail to make us shiver in fear with their expressive facial expressions. And yes, don't forget that before filming, the actors who embodied Freddy, Chica, and Bonnie needed about an hour to prepare and try on animatronic outfits. But once filming began, the process accelerated, and by the end of filming, the actors had time to dress in animatronic costumes in less than 5 minutes. The cameo role in this movie was played by a cab driver, and you probably thought it was some famous actor you might not have recognized. But no, it was different. YouTube blogger Cracklex has always been a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's and has actively promoted the game online. So when it came time to make the movie, the producers decided that he should get a role, and they invited him to play a cab driver. And to be honest, he did pretty well. He got to do a couple of scenes, as well as a post-credit scene with Balloon Boy. Not bad, right? And Corey isn't the only YouTuber who made it into the movie. If you peruse the Employees of the Month booth on the wall of the pizzeria, you'll find the names of other YouTubers who helped make the iconic game more popular. Among them are 8-Bit Ryan, Baz, Razbowski, Fusions Gamer, Daco. 2 weeks ago, a new look for Freddy surfaced on the internet, and honestly, it's probably the most perfect picture I've ever seen. Look at Freddy. This could really be a template for future memes. Freddy looks flawless, in stark contrast to the worn-out seasoned animatronic we've become accustomed to. This gap in the animatronic's appearance has caused quite a stir of speculation in the Five Nights at Freddy's fan community. Could this be a preview-look version of Freddy in the early days of creation, perhaps a flashback to the golden days of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza? Or could it be a completely different version or a costume designed? Whatever the case, the community is buzzing with theories. Freddy's cleaner and neater look could be a mysterious ball of thread, a maneuver to deflect attention, or just a funny moment from behind the frame. We're in anticipation of more clues and would love to hear your thoughts and theories in the meantime. What is the story behind this flawless Freddy? Well, let's start with the positive reviews. Of course, there were quite a few of them too. Fans of the game FNAF are delighted with how faithfully the movie conveyed the atmosphere and fear of this famous franchise. They note that the movie stays true to the original material and conveys the same terrifying atmosphere that made the game so popular. Screamer's intense moments were recognized as very effective and consistent with the essence of the game. After all, it is this fear and atmosphere that Five Nights at Freddy's success is based on. However, there is another side of the coin. Some critics did not rate the movie so highly. They argue that it failed to go beyond its origins in the world of video games. The movie had pacing problems and underdeveloped characters. Some feel that it relies too much on screen time and fails to offer a quality narrative. And yes, there are also opinions that the scares and tension in the movie seem repetitive and predictable and lacks innovation and fresh ideas. Ladies and gentlemen, on October 27, ticket sales for Five Nights at Freddy's officially began. The announcement of this happy news came from the movie company Regal. Their post read, "Can you survive? Get tickets to Five Nights at Freddy's on October 1. The same thing we see on the poster. I just have to pinch myself a little to make sure this isn't a dream." I honestly have a hard time believing this is happening. We'll be sure to keep you updated on how sales are going as we get closer to the movie's release. But for now, I'm interested in your opinion. Do you plan on seeing the movie in the theater, or would you prefer the comfort of your couch streaming the movie on Peacock? Leave a comment below and let us know. The making of Foxy proved to be quite challenging to film. Although Chica certainly won the hearts of the crew, but let's not forget who really owns the fear in the movie. This cunning pirate has a special place in the hearts of us all. And here's an interesting fact straight from Universal Pictures Studios. Foxy was recognized as the company's most complex animatronic. It took as many as 6 puppeteers to control Foxy, each handling a different part of his performance. One person controlled Foxy's face, another his head, a third his body, and several more puppeteers took care of his sinister arms and legs. If Foxy caused such difficulties, then I think Jim Henson's company and team of puppeteers will have to work hard to handle Mangle in the sequel. What else do you think might have caused difficulties in creating animatronics for the movie? If you think about it well, the title of the movie Five Nights tells us a lot. Maybe director Emma Tammy decided to create a movie with an open ending, which is quite common, especially when it comes to a horror movie based on an endless nightmare. And it turns out even Matthew Lillard, the actor playing the role of psychopath William Afton, the owner of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, revealed in an interview that this movie is just the first of 3 he will play in for this franchise. Amazing, isn't it? A 3-film deal with Universal and Blumhouse is what we have. That doesn't mean, of course, that there won't be more Five Nights at Freddy's movies with even more sinister and bizarre characters in the future. In fact, in the Five Nights at Freddy's games, as new installments were released, we met new animatronics. For example, Mangle, who is possibly the second version of Foxy, one of the main animatronics, and we can also meet a creepy marionette, a mixture of a deformed puppet and a sinister-looking monkey that starts moving only after the music in his box stops. Let's go back to 2018, when the idea of continuing the franchise first surfaced. One of the key figures in this process shared his thoughts. If the first movie turns out to be a real hit, we are in for 2 more exciting movies at least. It all depends on us, the audience, and how successful you, our viewers, are in welcoming the first installment of this dystopian franchise. As you can see, every scene, every animatronic, and every special effect of this movie is the result of colossal efforts and creative work. But the important question for you friends, are you ready to plunge into this nightmare again by getting tickets and going to the theater? Write in the comments.